United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Greetings from Vernon. I'm your host, Dan Cleary. I know your first question is, what is Greetings from Vernon? What are we going to see here tonight? Well, folks, it's all about Vernon Township, the largest municipality in the county, and it's 70 square miles of pristine beauty, lakes, valleys. We want to say all the positive about this town, and there's a lot going on in this town that is positive. So we want to showcase what's great about Vernon, and I hope you enjoy it. First off, we're coming to you from Heaven Hill Farms, located on Route 94 on your way to Warwick. Later on the show, we'll have an interview with the owner, Martin Theobald. And it's springtime, so two things you think about spring, especially in March: good weather and the St. Patrick's Day Parade. For the last 13 years, Sussex County's put on a parade, started in Sparta and then in Newton. And this year, one of our own, Vernon Township High School Principal Tim Dunnigan, is the Grand Marshal. And we sat down with Tim and talked about his duties as the Grand Marshal.
Well, to be honest with you, Dan, I was kind of surprised. Back in September, I got a call from the Harringtons, and they would like to nominate me for the Grand Marshal. And I said, sure, go ahead. And the next week, I found out that I was it. So I said, well, now what do I do? I said, don't worry, we'll tell you what to do. We'll have some meetings. And right now, I'm just kind of enjoying the ride, and it's been fun. And you know, I'm proud to be the Grand Marshal, to represent my family, number one, and also to represent Vernon Township High School, where I've worked for the last 17 years. And there was about 140 people showed up for the dinner. My family came in, my daughter flew in for it. It was really kind of a nice special event, something that I really wasn't used to or even expecting. Our chamber orchestra volunteered to come and play right before us, so I want to thank Jen Crott and the chamber orchestra students to come and do that. John Dunleavy, chairman of the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade, made an appearance, and I was really happy about that. So really enjoyed it. It was a great night, and you know, St. Patrick's Day is one day, but it seems like the Irish, we start about a month before and we finish about a month after, so it's been kind of a long ride. My Irish roots come back from, on my mother's side, my grandmother came from County Cavan, and she settled in Brooklyn and moved out to Jersey, I guess, when my mom was about 10 years old. My dad's father was from a little town called Cove down in County Cork. So that's where my Irish roots come from. Then again, I'm married to a beautiful lady named Bernadette, who comes from a small town called Ballymote, County Sligo. So there was always an abundance of Irish songs being played in the kitchen, you know. You'd come home and anytime you'd see the Phalons or the Mahonies or the Dunnigans sitting at the kitchen table. And our kitchen table back then, since there was 8 kids in the family, was a picnic table. That was our kitchen table. So I grew up hearing Irish music. I always loved Irish music, and there was a pub down in East Rutherford called Dick O'Leary's Irish Pub. And at the time I was teaching and coaching basketball down in Waldwick, Bergen County, and my roommate and I decided that we wanted to go down to Dick O'Leary's because we heard they had some really good Irish music down there. So he had met his girlfriend down there. Her name was Ann Scanlon, and so I was sitting at the table with him one night, and there was this beautiful young lady waitressing on our table, and Ann happened to say, I know that lady from somewhere. And I said, well, send her over. And to make a long story short, it turns out that Ann's parents were from the same exact town that my wife came from. So she had recognized her from the trips that she had made to Ireland. So, but anyway, from that point on, my wife and I kind of began to date, and came a point where her Irish visa was up. So she had to go back to Ireland I finished the year out teaching that spring of 1982, and I kept writing to the Irish Basketball Association because I had played Division III basketball in college. So I thought that maybe I could play over there or coach, see whatever they had available, and never heard from them. So finally, I went, when I took the trip over, I think it was July 1st, 1982, I went straight to the Irish Basketball Association headquarters to see if they needed a coach or anything. And they said, no, we're pretty filled up right now. So I said, okay. But then I got a call 2 days later to work in a basketball camp down in Dungarvan, County Waterford. So I went down there, and at night the counselors would play. And after playing a few games, some teams came up to me and said, would you want to play? You know, we can offer you a little bit of money, not a whole lot, but it was enough to get by and enjoy myself. So I ended up hooking up with a team called the Dublin Corinthians. And I called school in August to tell them I wasn't coming back. So that was, and telling my dad that I wasn't coming back, he wasn't too happy about that either. He says, you know, you're going to give up your teaching career? I said, no, I'm not going to give it up. I said, but this is a once-in-a-chance lifetime, and I'm going to take it. So, and I don't regret one bit of it. And at the same time, while I was over there, I got engaged to my wife. And the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City is the largest parade in the world. And our marching band this year has the honor of stepping off first. We will be right behind the Grand Marshal, I believe the mayor as well. And there are bands that are playing in the New York City Parade for years that never get that opportunity. And I have to say thank you to John Dunleavy, the chairman of the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade, for making that move for us, working the magic. So thank you, Dan.
Tim's a great guy, folks. Can't think of a better Irishman. Being an Irish guy myself, Timmy's a great representative. And how cool is it is that the Vernon Township High School Band is going to lead off the parade. Great stuff there. When we come back, we're going to speak with Arthur DiBenedetto, the superintendent of schools, and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Charles McKay. Find out what's new in the school system right after these messages here on Greetings from Vernon. United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Welcome back to Greetings from Vernon. I'm your host, Dan Cleary, coming to you from Heaven Hill Farms, Route 94 and Vernon Township on your way out to Warwick. A great place for all garden supplies and a lot more, too. And we'll talk to Martin Theobald, the owner, later on. Recently, I had the chance to go to the Vernon Board of Education building, and I sat down with new Superintendent Arthur DiBenedetto and new Assistant Superintendent Dr. Charles McKay, and we talked about what's new in the district.
Well, I left Vernon in 1989, where I was assistant superintendent of schools at that time. Went on to be a superintendent in Sussex Wantage. Tried to get back into Vernon a number of times during my career. And last year I was working in Pennsylvania as a high school principal in a charter high school, working on a day-to-day basis, and I got a call. Vernon had a need for some assistance that fit my expertise and experience, and I was back here in 2 weeks. It is an honor to be here.
And Chuck, you're a longtime educator in this district, English teacher at the high school for a long time. Now you're part of the administration. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I've been here since 1983, and I was in the classroom for 27 years as an English teacher. And then I became the K-12 supervisor of English, and then quickly moved into a position at Lounsbury as the principal the last 14 months. And then recently was chosen to be the new assistant superintendent. And I look forward to working with Mr. DiBenedetto, and so far things have worked out very well.
Now, gentlemen, what are the goals of this new administration?
Goals of the new administration are to concentrate on academics, to concentrate on a reasonably strong financial base for those academics, and to make sure that we are up to the challenge of competition trying to maintain students in our district.
Art brings up the word competition, and it's sort of an important piece here. We have great programs. In the high school, of course, we're known for our music and art program, but we also have some very strong programs that people don't know about. And one of the things that we've tried to do is accent that, but also build on that as a foundation. So take, for example, our science program. Our science program at the high school is second to none in this area and in the state. So we're building on that with some new programs through CTE, which is basically a program that takes courses that we already have and tries to build on them so that our students are well served. So we're putting 5 CTE programs in through Mr. DiBenedetto's leadership and Mr. Dunnigan's leadership up at the high school. And we're doing that through our science program, our strong math program, and other places where we have great classes to offer our students.
Chuck spent time in Trenton, talking to people. The 5 programs we're offering are in the areas that there is the most need for jobs in the state, and we want to give our kids a strong basis for whether they go to a career or a college. It's career and technical education, which will serve our kids very well.
Basically, what the state said to us was simply that there are 5 areas where they will employ students in the near future. Those 5 areas are hospitality and tourism. And the interesting thing is we haven't really had the strong connection with Mountain Creek that we now have. So we're presently building a strong connection with that great organization and Mr. Kaufman, its owner. So hospitality and tourism is one of the places that the new CTE program will be. Also construction technology. We're basically moving away from wood shop and moving it towards construction technology, where students would then serve an internship. They would also receive college credits. We also have a graphic design program, which is second to none through our art program. We already have that program set up, and the state has basically told us that that is a place, along with IT, that children will have a lot of opportunity. So we'll set up internships in college as well with that. And then the other program, of course, is engineering, which we have through Project Lead the Way and Mr. Bruno up at the high school. And one thing you need to know in our district is we're establishing these programs very early on. We have students in 5th grade and 6th grade now who are coding and doing robotics. So in many ways, what we're trying to do is set up this vertical team as it moves through the school system to make sure that our students have the best possible programs and that the community knows about these best possible programs, so that we can compete with the likes of, say, Votech or Pope John or any other place, because we tend to be competitive people.
We're also trying to establish a very strong relationship with the community college. It is likely in September of this year the college will open an extension program at Vernon Township High School. This is a major cog in our plans of trying to give opportunity, educational opportunity to our students and also to the community. So that's something we're working on. We have there's an energetic administration at the community college that is very impressive, and we are trying to combine both of our energies toward a goal of opening an extension program with the idea that if this works, there might be a use for the Cedar Mountain School a year or two down the road.
One of the things that's very interesting is there's been a confluence of new leadership, not only new leadership here at the board, but also new leadership at Mountain Creek with Mr. Kaufman, and also new leadership at Sussex County Community with Dr. Connolly and Dr. Baker. So we have met on a regular basis with those folks and are working out partnerships with both of them. So not only the partnership at the high school, which will bring additional classes that we couldn't possibly offer, and evening classes as well, but also with Mountain Creek, with some of our students doing their internships there, either for one of these CTEs or just as our students progress into the workforce.
Great to have Art DiBenedetto back in the district. A lot of guys who played football back in the day played for him. He was a terrific history teacher in high school in the 70s and 80s, and administrator. And they're a dynamic duo, folks, and your kids are in good hands with those two running the show. We'll have more on Greetings from Vernon right after these messages. United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by the Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Welcome back to Greetings from Vernon. I'm Dan Cleary, your host. We're coming to you from the Heaven Hill Farm. You've seen it all show. Well, we had a chance to speak with the owner, Martin Theobald, the Theobald family, longtime staples in the Vernon community. And we talked about what Heaven Hill has to offer. It's just not a garden supply store, it's a lot more.
We've been here since 1960 on the farm. When I moved to Vernon, there were more cows than people here. And that's the truth. I think the population was under 3,000, and there were probably 10,000 cows in Vernon in those days. Grew up here on the farm, and originally we were a dairy farm and beef cows, and we raised pigs. We converted that back in the 80s, I did, to a vegetable farm, and from vegetables we grew into what we are today, which is ice cream, furniture, bakery, garden center, pumpkin festival, and farm animals to visit. We're a garden center, a farm market, and we also do a lot of events here. Coming up in March, the end of March, is our Easter egg hunt. Last year we gave out 12,000 Easter eggs. There's carnival rides, face painting, sand art, and even free hay rides at the Easter egg hunt. After that, the end of April, we're doing a Taste of Vernon for the Vernon Chamber, and we're also going to do the Earth Fest here. I believe that's April 28th. You can check that out on our website, all the details, heavenhillfarm.com. We just did open. We haven't got our ice cream department and bakery up yet, but they'll be going next week. We have a great new selection of furniture. As you can see, we got a huge selection of umbrellas just in. Fall's our biggest season, of course. People love to come to the farm with their families. It's a big family event. We have a great corn maze. It has 18 different little stations to find in the corn maze, and there's 3 different games to play. Very popular with the families in the fall. And we like to give back to the community, like doing the free Easter egg hunt or donating the farm for Earth Fest or the chamber charities. I think that's important for all the local merchants to give back to the community because it's the community that supports us. I'm really glad to be a part of Vera and all the merchants that are involved. They're great people. So we hope you all shop local.
As you saw during that segment, you can check out the website. A lot going on here at Heaven Hill. They have a gift shop, bakery, ice cream, furniture, as you can see around here, everything you need. And as Martin Theobald said, shop local, stay in town. There's great opportunities to not have to leave town to get what you need. Heaven Hill, a big part of that. When we come back, we're going to have a conversation with the police chief, Randy Mills, right after these messages. United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Welcome back to Greetings from Vernon. I'm Dan Cleary, your host, as we're coming to you from Heaven Hill. A great place to come and shop. Now that spring's here with the great weather hopefully coming up, you can get out and get that yard done. And if you want to get lawn furniture, barbecue grills, everything you need is here at Heaven Hill. Well, I sat down with Randy Mills, the police chief, and we talked about what's new going on in Vernon and what the department is doing in other areas as far as fighting crime is concerned.
Well, we're a couple months into a new administration here. Everything's going well. We do have some changes coming up. We have our captain, Brian Jernick, is going to be retiring effective April 1st. That'll lead to some promotions that'll hopefully be announced shortly. We'll be hopefully replacing the captain's position and then onward up the line right down to sergeant. Also with 2 guys who recently came out of the police academy, finished their field training, are now on the road, which gives me the ability to bring our detective bureau back up to full staffing level. And that's a good thing because the extra detective that I'm able to put back in the detective bureau is going to have a large part of his responsibilities are going to be into the narcotics investigations and trying to go after the traffickers that are bringing the drugs, in particular heroin, up into our area. What we're really after are the traffickers and the dealers. When users get arrested, That's part of the process, and sometimes they're used to move ourselves up the chain to get these people that are taking this poison and bringing it up here to our area. We call it the Route 23 corridor. You know, that's where these traffickers are primarily going up and down Route 23. We have suspects available, or suspects under surveillance at all times, and that you know, when we do make an arrest, it's not always something that you read about in the paper. You know, the general public might not realize how active or proactive we are when it comes to narcotics investigations, because by their nature, if we do make an arrest and we want to use that person to get to the next level, or catch a dealer or trafficker, well, we don't go putting their name in their paper that they were arrested, because that would hinder our ability to use them moving forward. Well, yeah, we went through basically a relatively mild winter. We had, you know, some weather, water, which created, you know, different traffic hazards throughout the town. You know, we have a very active Facebook page with the Vernon Police Department. We have almost 11,000 followers. If you needed to find it, it's facebook.com/Vernon Police. And we're very proactive about road closures, detours, you know, a lot of the things that happen in town. A lot of our press releases go out through our Facebook page. Yeah, it's coming back. The bears are already starting to come out, and we have to go back to our best practices. You know, your garbage shouldn't go out until the morning of. You got to make sure that you keep it in secure containers. Certainly, if you see bears in the area, you need to give them their space. You don't necessarily have to report every time you see a bear in Vernon. That's kind of a common occurrence anymore, but certainly if a bear is creating a hazard, if a bear is near a bus stop, and you know, it's just the time of year that we need to be aware that they're going to be out and about again, and you know, they have certain issues that they bring with them.
I know I use that Vernon Township Facebook page. It's a terrific source of information for road closures, school closures, anything that's going in town that's maybe disruptive. You need to get information, go to that website. Chief Mills and the group at the Vernon Township Police Department do a great job. We'll have more on Greetings from Vernon right after this. United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.
Welcome back to Greetings from Vernon. As we're going to wrap up our first episode, we hope you enjoyed it. As we said, the goal of this show is to show the positives of Vernon Township. It's such a great place to live. I've lived here almost all my life, and it has so much to offer. As we said, great recreation. The Appalachian Trail comes through here. You have great recreation over there at Action Park, which will be opening up fairly soon for the spring season. Just so much to do. Maple Grange Park. And just the great people in this town that volunteer their time that make this a great place. And if you have any story ideas or events that you think should be covered here on Greetings from Vernon, send us an email at info@mugsmedia.com. info@mugsmedia.com. As we talked to Martin Theobald earlier, the first ever Taste of Vernon will be here on April 28th. That should be a lot of fun. And another event that you might want to check out is the art showcase up at the high school on April 21st. So there's a lot going on in town. You don't have to travel to be entertained or purchase whatever you need. You can stay right here in Vernon. So again, if you have any story ideas or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. info@mugsmedia.com. So that'll wrap up our first edition of Greetings from Vernon. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm your host, Dan Cleary. We'll see you again soon on Channel 10. United Water is now Suez, safe, clean water for the communities they serve.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, McAfee Hardware, Heaven Hill Farm, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, Valley Paint and Hardware, and Vernon Tire and Auto Center. Come in, we're local.